What all? How are you today? All well and good, I hope. So here we are out in the rain today. I haven't got my coat on yet because it's just showers, but they keep coming and going. But I'm not going to be deterred. I've got specific shots I want to get today. Just going to have to wait and see what happens. So almost immediately the rain is coming on. It's not what I had in mind for today. I want to be getting down onto the ground, photographing stuff close up. I've got some very specialist kit, one might say. I've got Bellows, I've got close-up equipment, and whilst the rain is good because it's nice to have the details with the water droplets, and the breeze is kind of okay at the moment. It's not too windy, that's okay. That sort of equipment, I just can't get wet. I just can't. So it's coming on heavier, it's brighter in the skies, but really, honestly, I'm just going to stop here. I'm going to get myself ready in my full wet weather gear. Just wait and see what happens. Honestly, this rain, this weather, it got too hot just now. The moment I put my coat on, the rain stopped, and I was just about to set off again, and it started pouring down again. This is what it is today, clearly, so who knows what's going to happen. So this is what I'm here for, the bluebells. I want to be really close up, getting all the detail in here. Some of it might be a bit abstract, but I just want to have fun and experiment and just see, you know, where the water droplets are, where the texture of the flowers themselves are. The only trouble is the rain's coming on again, and I think really I'm just going to have to take my chances, maybe put a cloth or something over the bellows, maybe over the camera. I don't have an actual camera cover with me today, helpfully. It's just going to see what happens. So what I've got here is actually a really cobbled together setup, but it works really well. I've got my Nikon D800 here. I've got a Bellows unit which I bought at a camera club auction or camera club sale when I was 14 years old, I believe. And I've also got a manual focus Pentax SMC 50mm f 1.7 lens. Lovely and sharp, lovely and bright. That is actually reversed on the Bellows here. Now if you reverse a 50mm lens on a camera, typically that's going to give you 1:1 or life-size reproduction, magnification of whatever you're photographing. But with the Bellows here, I can extend that and I can make the subject, I can get even closer, more abstract. So the more distance I put between the camera and the lens, the larger the magnification and the closer I'm going to get. That's the plan. Let's have a look. Note to self, when you get back, give it a bit of a clean. These Bellows are absolutely filthy, but they'll do the job. So this is the sort of thing that I'm talking about. Those droplets there, that's the sort of thing that I'm looking for. Now I just want to explain, this is one of the issues where I'm dealing with something that's so close up. The tiniest bit of movement from any breeze is really making a difference. Can you see? The detail there is lovely, but it's just moving too much and I don't think I can freeze it. Do you know what? I think I'm going to have to call this one. This rain is just constant and I just cannot risk this equipment getting wet. So maybe I'll have another go either later if the rain does let up, or maybe we'll try again another day. Well, what a difference a few minutes can make. It's glorious sunshine now. I've taken my coat off finally. The breeze is still here. And I'm going to be honest, I was starting to get a little bit disheartened because things just weren't going to plan. You know, the focus, the precision you need with either a Bellows setup or a reversing ring with a reversed lens, it is so tiny that when you are trying to position a tripod, that's hard enough. But then when the subject is moving a bit, it's quite tricky. If you had a macro lens, of course, it's a lot easier. A lot of us would rely upon autofocus and maybe fine tune. That's fine. But with this setup, you don't have that option of just quickly tapping in there, zooming and sort of selecting that autofocus nice and quick. It's much more laborious, shall we say. However, like I say, I'm not giving up. I have shelved the bluebells for today. I'll come back to them another time, maybe with a macro lens. I'm now looking at static subjects, and right where I am, just down here, we've got some fungi growing on a fallen tree, so things like moss, fungus, leaves, that sort of thing. That's what I'm going to concentrate on, and I'm going to save the day that way. So just as a kind of a comparison, let's say about using autofocus and how it will pick the point that you want to focus on, and then you can select that point and so forth. With the Bellows system, once I've found out what my subject is and I've positioned the tripod just about right, the fine focusing on a static subject is actually really rather good. So I'll set the magnification that I want, and then all I do with these rockers here is just adjust finely back and forth just until I see the subject get into focus. And with these cameras, of course, I can look at the live view, so that rather than looking through the viewfinder, which is absolutely fine, I can actually see the image bigger on the LCD on the back. So it's a nice setup in the right scenario. Okay, so a few final thoughts about this particularly interesting rig that I've created. I'm going to be honest, I haven't used this setup for quite some time, and it did take me by surprise. You know, especially in the weather that I was working with today. It is not an excuse, but it did highlight a number of factors. First of all, you do need a certain amount of controlled environment to work well with this setup. You know, it's all very well rocking the focus back and forth until you get it. That's fine with a static subject, but when you've got things like flowers that have ever so slightly some movement there, it's not really very nice to work with. The other factor is that degree of focus is so tiny that the difference between in and out of focus is literally, well, not even millimeters, maybe 1 or 2 millimeters as I've been working today. Some of the pictures that I've shared with you on here, you may actually say, well, look, that's just not at all in focus. Trust me, they are in focus, but it is such a tiny fragment of that frame that I think moving forward, I think I'll just be sticking, for those close-ups, I'll just be sticking with the standard macro lens, because there is a certain amount of control and familiarity with it. That said, would I go back to using this setup again for anything? Do you know what? I actually might, because it has, if not been fun, it has been interesting, and I am someone who, I'm very inquisitive about approaches to taking photographs. So, you know, in the right scenarios, I think I'd give it another go. Maybe I'll share that in another video somewhere along the way. But, you know, it's not been an easy day, but it was a worthwhile one, I think. As ever, if you've got any questions or suggestions or comments, anything like that about my setup or what I've been up to today, then do let me know. But for now, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, take care, and I'll speak to you all very soon.